the headlines of this hour on VTV News. Welcome ceremony held for heads of delegations to ASEAN-AUSTRALIA Special Summit. Later on, Giang Province responds to salinity intrusion. In our world news, Cambodian People's Party win 55 out of 58 seats in Senate election.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good morning. It is currently 8 a.m. local time and you're tuning in to 30 minutes of VTV News. I'm Lily with the latest updates. Now, Prime Minister Phie and his wife attended an official welcome ceremony for the delegation heads attending this special summit commemorating 50 years of ASEAN-Australia dialogue relations chaired by the Australian Prime Minister and his fiancée on March the 5th in Melbourne. Welcoming the heads of delegations to the summit with traditional rites and cultural and artistic performances of Australia, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese highly appreciated Australia's relations with ASEAN countries and hoped that after the summit, the Australia-ASEAN relations would be promoted and strengthened with new momentum and content. The ASEAN-Australia Special Summit commemorating 50 years of ASEAN-Australia relations is held from March the 5th to the 6th in Melbourne. Australia with the theme, A Partnership for the Future. Within the framework of the summit, Prime Minister Phie will attend the main sessions and engage in several important activities. Prime Minister Phie and leaders of ASEAN countries and Australia will discuss and propose visions, directions, and specific measures to expand their cooperation in the coming time. Prime Minister Phie on March the 5th cut the ribbon to inaugurate the Australia-Vietnam Policy Institute at RMIT University in Melbourne City, Victoria State. The institute is designed to conduct research on the strategic relations between Australia and Vietnam, contributing to effectively implementing Australia's Southeast Asian economic strategy to 2040. Concerning the event, Australian Senator Tim Ayres said that with more than 300,000 people, the Vietnamese community in Australia has made an important contribution to building a multicultural Australia. Prime Minister Phie expressed his belief that the Institute's activities in providing policy consultancies to the two governments will help deepen the bilateral relationship, cooperation and development in the region and the world. He thanked Australia and the RMIT University for training Vietnamese students and graduate students, adding that Vietnam prioritizes the development of science and technology, education and training, and innovation. Also on the same day, Prime Minister Phie attended the Vietnam-Australia Business Forum in Melbourne as part of his working trip. More in the following.
In 2023, two-way trade between Vietnam and Australia reached about $14 billion, turning Vietnam and Australia into each other's top 10 largest trading partners. Addressing the event, which drew the participation of leaders from nearly 200 enterprises of Vietnam and Australia, the Prime Minister briefed participants on major policies and development achievements of Vietnam over the past years. He underlined that economic, trade and investment collaboration has been an important pillar in the bilateral relationship between the two countries.
I have high expectations on 5 better things after the upgrade of the relations: better political trust, better economic, trade and investment cooperation, better science technology and innovation collaboration, better partnership in education, training, cultural and people-to-people exchanges, and better cooperation in tourism and labor.
The Vietnamese government called on businesses, associations, and investors of the two countries to further promote their collaboration and pledged that the two governments will continue to create favorable conditions for their cooperation. Within the forum's framework, agencies and businesses of the two nations also exchanged many memoranda of understanding, MOU, on cooperation in various fields, including aviation, education and training, offshore wind power development, and high-tech agriculture. Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh witnessed the announcement of the opening of an air route linking Melbourne and Hanoi by Vietjet Air. First flights on the route are scheduled to operate on June 3rd, with 2 return flights per week.
The Vietnamese government always creates favorable conditions for airlines, both state-owned and private, to develop and compete healthily, and encourages Australian carriers to fly to Vietnam. Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh stated at a ceremony to mark 30 years of Vietnam-Australia direct air route in Melbourne City on March the 5th. The Vietnamese government leader emphasized the important role of air transport in current economic development, stating that Vietnam has had policies to develop airlines. The Prime Minister took the occasion to thank Australia, specifically Australian citizens who choose Vietnamese airlines to visit Vietnam, saying that this has contributed to boosting cultural connections and aviation economic development of the two countries. Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh has recently issued a resolution during the regular government meeting in February. In this resolution, the Prime Minister urges ministers, heads of ministerial-level agencies, government bodies, and provincial and municipal People's Committee chairs to fully grasp and implement with the utmost diligence the tasks and solutions for socio-economic development as outlined by the central government's conclusion, the Politburo, key leaders, and resolution of the National Assembly. The priority lies in fostering growth while maintaining macroeconomic stability, controlling inflation, ensuring economic equilibrium, and safeguarding social security and the well-being of the populace, in accordance with conclusion number 64 of the 8th plenum of the 13th Central Committee. In other news, on Tuesday, National Assembly Chairman Vương Đình Huệ chaired a meeting with Hanoi's Party Committee's Permanent Board on the draft amended capital law and the Hanoi capital planning for the period of 2021 to 2030 with a vision to 2050 and the adjustment of the general planning of Hanoi capital until 2045 with a vision to 2065. More in the following.
Chairman of the National Assembly Vương Đình Huệ urged National Assembly agencies, the government, and Hanoi's authority to accelerate the completion of the amended capital law and the urban planning blueprints for submission to be considered by the National Assembly in May. He emphasized that submitting all these documents for consideration at the same session will help establish a legal framework to exploit the advantages and potential of Vietnam's capital city.
The draft revised capital law had been submitted to the NA for the first consideration at the 15th Tenure Parliament's 6th session in late 2023. It is scheduled to undergo further discussion and be voted on at the coming 7th session. This is extremely important to not only Hanoi but also the entire country, as Hanoi is the capital city.
The National Assembly's party delegation held a meeting with the Municipal Party Committee's Standing Board to look into major issues to perfect the draft revised law and the plans and prepare to submit them to the NA for consideration. The submission of all the three to the NA at the same session will create a crucial legal framework for Hanoi to develop and realize the viewpoints, targets, and orientations identified in the Politburo's Resolution Number 15 on orientations and tasks for Hanoi's development until 2030 with a vision to 2045, along with Party General Secretary Nguyen Phu Trong's directions on the capital's development.
Politburo member and Minister of Public Security General Tô Lâm hosted a reception on March the 5th in Hanoi for Khonsi Navalat, head of the representative agency of the Lao Ministry of Public Security in Vietnam. Minister Tô Lâm congratulated Navalat on being appointed by the Lao Ministry of Public Security as head of the Lao Ministry of Public Security Representative Agency in Vietnam, wishing him a successful fulfillment of his tasks as he takes on a new position. The Vietnamese minister expressed his confidence that through the efforts and close relations between the police forces of the two ministries, Vietnam and Laos will soon overcome difficulties and challenges to ensure national security and maintain social order in each country. In response, the Lao leaders hailed the fruitful cooperation between the two ministries in recent times, especially in crime prevention and in combating efforts to ensure security and order in each nation. He said that he believes that the cooperative relations between the police forces of both sides will increasingly develop and deepen, thereby practically serving the socio-economic development and foreign affairs tasks of each country. Coming up next on VTV News, Giang Province responds to salinity intrusion. And forestry sector gears up for transformative changes in Land Law 2024 implementation. Welcome back to VTV News Live. Prime Minister Phie has recently issued an official directive concerning the management of credit growth for the year 2024. The directive aims to further enhance the efficacy of monetary policy tools and implement measures on interest rate and credit management to bolster production and business activities for both individuals and enterprises. This initiative seeks to foster economic growth, stabilize the macroeconomy, curb inflation, and ensure the stability of the broader economic landscape. The directive calls on the State Bank of Vietnam to lead a comprehensive review of credit allocation by financial institutions and emphasizes the need for proactive and flexible monetary policy management, including prudent adjustments to interest and exchange rates in line with economic conditions. The Japanese food and beverage exhibition Foodex Japan 2024 on Tuesday opened with the participation of businesses from 60 countries and territories with over 3,140 booths. Attending the exhibition, the business's products, Vietnam continues to attract the attention of visitors.
Nearly 30 Vietnamese businesses brought to the Foodex Japan 2024 exhibition hundreds of products such as spices, vegetables, fruits, rice, and milk. Customers at the event are very impressive with those products.
At Foodex Japan 2024, we launched a new spice set. To introduce this set, we have researched and developed products that suit Japanese tastes and their strict standards.
According to Japanese distributors, Vietnamese products are increasingly improving in both design and quality. It shows a great opportunity for Vietnamese goods to conquer the Japanese market as well as other developed markets. Currently, Vietnamese restaurants in Japan are very popular. Many customers respond that Vietnamese food and beverage products are very delicious. Thus, we will also have a plan to expand the introduction of Vietnam's products in chain. Foodex Japan 2024 exhibition is a prestigious exhibition on food and beverages in the world. This is an opportunity for Vietnamese businesses to identify and promote their brands, connect with other global businesses to expand the market.
To mitigate the impacts of drought and salinity, many provinces in the Mekong Delta are implementing various solutions. Sóc Trăng and Tiền Giang have adjusted the sowing schedule for the two main crops, winter-spring and summer-autumn, starting 20 to 30 days earlier. Furthermore, farmers are encouraged to modify their crop structure while increasing water storage in ponds, lakes, and canals for irrigation. Localities are also actively reviewing and reinforcing their dike systems to prevent floods, droughts, and saltwater intrusion. Saltwater is penetrating deeply into the Mekong Delta provinces at high concentration. In Giang Province, the salinity intrusion in Vy Thanh City and Long My district is increasing. In some places, the salinity intrusion has increased to 9.5%. Facing the situations, localities quickly deploy effective response solutions to prevent salinity and keep fresh water.
The salinity of Hapao sluice gate in Lungye Commune, Longmi District, is now at about 9 parts per thousand and about 10.5 parts per thousand at peak. Currently, this sluice gate has been closed to protect 700 hectares of unharvested winter spring rice crop.
The salinity here is very high, usually over 9 parts per thousand. Therefore, we must close the sluice gate to protect rice crop.
4 large sluice gates in Lungye are operated according to the flow of the tides. Accordingly, the sluice gates are only open for 2 days when the water recedes to allow water vehicles to pass through. The rest must be kept as fresh water.
There are about 210 hectares of rice needed to be irrigated. Then, we advise people to test the quality of water before irrigation to avoid damage. We focus on repairing and upgrading irrigation works here to proactively store fresh water. We have also implemented other measures to prevent saltwater intrusion, combined with ensuring crops for people.
It is forecast that salinity intrusion in Hougang will increase in the near future due to the influence of high tides and northeast winds. Therefore, functional forces need to monitor and measure the salinity regularly to operate sluice gates effectively.
Out of the 14.7 million hectares of forest land and land with forests, approximately 3.4 million hectares lack clear ownership and are currently under temporary management by local people's committees. With the guidance of the Land Law 2024 and government directives, these areas will undergo continuous review and allocation, prioritizing distribution to individuals to bolster livelihoods and foster stability in communities.
Vietnam currently boasts 7.2 million hectares of forest owned by various parties. However, a disconnect exists between land and forest allocation, as well as forestry land lease arrangements. According to the Vietnam Forest Owners Association, over the past 3 years, there has been significant fluctuation in the management of forest areas, currently estimated at 3.4 million hectares.
The state doesn't assign management of 3.4 million hectares but claims it's managed at the commune level. Yet, individuals cultivate without maps or monitoring. This lack of oversight leads to disputes, misuse, and land degradation.
The Land Law 2024 is poised to address key challenges in the forestry industry, alongside expanding the scope for transferring forest land use rights by up to 15 times the limit for forest land allocation. The law introduces new provisions for leasing production forests and ecotourism. Furthermore, it allows for the construction of infrastructure to bolster production activities. These changes pave the way for adjustments to forestry laws, focusing on consolidating land and forest data to ensure ownership rights for individuals' allocated land and forests.
Revisions to forestry laws are crucial for aligning with land and forest allocation, ensuring security in production. The government has assigned the forestry sector to conduct a comprehensive forest census in 2024 with forest owners.
The forestry law will undergo 9 key adjustments effective from April 2024 to align with land law, which takes effect in 2025.
Looking ahead to 2024, the forestry sector is gearing up for a collaborative effort with various agencies and local authorities to conduct a sweeping forest inventory and audit. This is essential for successfully implementing Vietnam's forestry strategy, particularly as the country aims for net zero emissions by 2050 and complies with the EU's zero deforestation regulations.
Hanoi will continue to organize a light show with hundreds of drones on Saturday and Sunday this week, which is March the 9th and 10th, according to Hanoi Department of Tourism. The program will be held at Tây Hồ Creative Cultural Space in Trịnh Công Sơn Walking Street. The drone performance will start at 21:30 p.m., which is 9:30 p.m. on March the 9th, lasting for about 3 minutes. The activity is part of the Hanoi Tourism Program to welcome 2024 and announced the decision to recognize Nhật Tân of Tây Hồ District as a tourist area. Coming up next in our world news. Cambodian People's Party win 55 out of 58 seats in Senate election. And later on, Australia pledges $1.3 billion to spur Southeast Asia investment. Now moving on to our world news, the Cambodian People's Party CPP won 55 out of the 58 Senate seats in an election on February the 25th, according to official results released by the National Election Committee on Tuesday. Four political parties, the Cambodian People's Party, the Khmer Will Party, the Nation Power Party, and the Royalist Phun Sin Pek Party, took part in the Senate election for the fifth legislative term. The official results showed that the CPP received 55 seats and the Khmer Will Party got 3 seats, as the Nation Power Party and the Phun Sin Pek Party did not earn any seat. The Senate has 62 seats, but the vote was held for 58 seats, as 2 senators will be appointed by Cambodian King Norodom Sihamoni and 2 others by the National Assembly. Australia will establish a $1.3 billion fund to boost trade and two-way investment in Southeast Asia, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said at a special summit between Australia and ASEAN in Melbourne on Tuesday. He said Southeast Asia is where Australia's future lies. The fund will provide loans, guarantees, equity and insurance to bolster two-way trade and investment with ASEAN member nations and support the clean energy transition. Prime Minister Albanese said the decision marked Australia's most important commitment to ASEAN. Damage to submarine cables in the Red Sea is disrupting telecommunications network and forcing providers to reroute as much as a quarter of traffic between Asia, Europe, and the Middle East, including internet traffic. Cables belonging to 4 major telecoms networks have been cut, causing significant disruption to communication networks in the Middle East, according to Hong Kong-China telecoms company HGC Global Communications. South Africa-based Seacom, which owns one of the cable systems affected, told that repairs wouldn't begin for at least another month. The destruction of cables in the Red Sea comes weeks after the official Yemeni government warned of the possibility that Houthi rebels would target the cables. However, this force has denied accusations that they are behind this incident. UNESCO World Heritage Site Luang Prabang in northern Laos has been listed among the 50 tourist destinations worldwide for 2024 by Indian Times Travel. Last year alone, this ancient city welcomed 1 million visitors. The city government aims to attract more than 3 million visitors this year. So what is it about Luang Prabang that creates such attractions for tourists? More in the following story.
From early morning, each group of monks in orange robes walked quietly on bare feet in a long line along the streets of Luang Prabang to receive offerings from the people. On the side of the road, people were waiting to respectfully make offerings to the monk. The monks take them and bless everyone. This is one of the long-standing traditional beauties of Laos people and one of the most impressive image in the eyes of foreign tourists.
We woke up very early and really wanted to witness the offering ceremony to enjoy the peaceful atmosphere in the early morning. I find this a very beautiful place. The people are so kind that they make offerings to the monks every day.
One of the tourist attractions of Luang Prabang is the temples and pagodas here. Each works contains a unique cultural, historical, and architectural value. For example, Wat Siang Thong, one of the most revered temples by locals, has its unique golden stupa and exquisite mosaics. Visiting the temples, visitors can feel all the beauty and pure atmosphere.
All the temples, very nice. And you can find a lot of quiet places, because you expect in the main street there's a lot of tourists, right? But here it's very quiet.
An experience that visitors cannot miss when coming to Luang Prabang is watching the beautiful sunset over the Mekong River on the top of Phie Hill. For tourists who want to mingle with nature, Quang Si Waterfall is a great destination. They will be fascinated by the blue water and the surrounded flora. Last year, Luang Prabang witnessed a significant increase in tourist numbers, welcoming more than 1 million tourists, nearly doubling the previous year, bringing nearly $600 million of tourism revenue.
And now let's have a brief look at the weather scene for Vietnam and other locations in the world. And that is all that we have for this hour on VTV News. To rewatch our program, you can visit our website or YouTube channel or download our mobile app VTVgo for more. Thank you for watching, and goodbye for now.